Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 16 of the East Anglia Hobbit Community Podcast. I'm Jack, and I'm here today with Josh.
Hello, guys. How you all doing?
And first of all, first podcast of the year, so Happy New Year to everyone. Hope you had a good break, good Christmas, and just starting off the new year with a quick podcast just to get the ball rolling again.
Definitely,
yeah. Today we're going to go through the minor changes to the East Anglia Middle-earth League rules. It's just very minor. It's basically the same. And just mention a few upcoming events, hobby goals for the year, and we've got quite a chunk of Q&A as well, haven't we, from the community, I think?
A lot of it's hobby goals and a few little questions in there. So it'd be nice to just discuss what people are sort of working on and what we might see on the tabletops this year.
Yeah, so we'll power through that. But first of all, I'll let Josh do the announcement about our subscribers because you've been keeping track of that.
So I'm going to assume we're all male. If we're not, I apologise. Lads, we did it. We hit 101 subscribers. So thank you very, very much. I do now have to actually sort out a prize for that because it was kind of one of those YouTube ploys to get you all to subscribe. And now I have to I'm a man of my word. So I will be sorting out a prize. And what I will do is I will go through our subscriber list and I will use a random name generator from those names, and someone will win a prize when I sort it out. Give me a couple of weeks because A, I have to find out how to do all that, and B, I have to actually pick a suitable prize. So I will sort that out before March. Then it gives me enough buffer to actually make sure that happens. On that, make sure you comment, like, share, and subscribe on this video. And some of you are still unsubscribed. I think 8% of our listener base from the last 4 or 5 episodes are still unsubscribed. So if you are listening to the content and you do like it, I mean, it doesn't hurt you to subscribe. It helps us just try and get it out there a bit more. And maybe one day, we'll have, 200 subscribers. Anyway, so league format changes. Over to you, mate.
Yeah, there's not been a lot because it was quite well received last year. It was it wasn't massive changes to our general tournaments. It was just to give a bit of just so they all counted towards something without taking away too much from the individual events.
Yeah.
And that's basically what did and what happened. So this year, I think we spoke about it on the wrap up of the finale.
Mm-hmm.
That we've got someone different doing each of the league counting events so far. Yep. So that's good. So that's already going to bring a bit of variety to it because that's one thing I was a bit wary of was obviously where I was running them all, which I didn't mind doing, but obviously not necessarily the way I do it. Something is right or wrong or the best or the worst, but some people prefer different things, and a bit of variety is always good anyway.
It just adds different rules packs, different list building, different tier ideas, know, and it creates, as you say, a bit of variety, and it keeps it a little bit interesting. Just for instance, I have ripped off the Middle-earth GT because I saw a lot of people missed off tickets, and I saw an opportunity to host an event. So it's the exact same points, it's the exact same format. Honestly, guys, some of the prizes already are bomb. And I'm going to try and make it as professional as possible. I'm currently working on new scenery for it. James is currently working on new scenery for it. You will have an Osgiliath. You will have a Rohan village of some description. Touch wood, because I will get my stuff done. James is a lot better at hobbying and painting than I am, so I don't want to put time constraint pressures on him, but he said he's going to try his hardest, so it's going to look awesome. It's going to be really, really good. It's going to be 30 players, which for I think it's our biggest league event yet. Which also means, as you all do know, if you do participate in the league, over half of that money will go back into club. So it's potentially 2 more boards. Me and Jack were sorting out all of our terrain and mats and things the other day at the Scout Hut, and we're almost on our way to holding a 20-person event without anyone bringing anything, which I think is really awesome.
Yeah, which was one of the aims of what we set out with last year, and we had a little chat just to try and just bulk out our scenery a bit without having to rely on people. I know everyone is always more than willing to bring stuff, but it'd be nice for one, them not have to worry about making sure they've packed everything, packing it away. Yeah. And 2, if certain people can't make an event, then obviously we're
not up We're not up a
exactly,
creek without a paddle. So,
exactly.
and we've already segued the actual changes themselves.
Yes. So anyway, back to where we were with the league. Largely the same. It's going to run from the events from January to the 31st of October. Only reason being is we're going to do the finale in probably November again because December's a very busy time for most people.
Yeah.
So
It
the
seems
league
like
events,
it's been ages since we've played SBG, but yeah.
yeah. But so the league events, there will be designated EHHC events throughout the year. There will be just noted on the title or the description, but it will be on the page what's league and what's not. Because some events will still be done as not league counting, just because some people want to do them a completely different way, which is fine as well. More events is always a good thing.
Well, I've on my own personal events this year, the March one will be league counting because a lot of people attending asked me for it to be. So I said, okay, if Jack's fine with it, and obviously you were. And then my Escalation 2.0 later on in the year at some point probably won't be league counting just so that it doesn't, I'm not TOing two league counting events.
Yeah.
So
And
anyway,
then,
the actual changes.
so the changes. So the first change last year, it was the best 5 games that determined your position. It's going to be the same format in terms of qualification. So at the moment, it's going to be the top 24 players with the top 12 fighting off for the trophy, which is now at the Scout Hut, which looks amazing. If you haven't seen the video, check that out. I think
I
it's
have
either
had
on
to
James's
argue
channel
with
or our channel.
Katie and the scout leaders about why that's in the trophy cabinet. I was like,
Yeah, we're going to get it a prominent place as well, where we're negotiating his position.
It's a model. I was like, it's a trophy. It's going to have a plaque on it. Shut up.
But it
Anyway.
looks, and obviously we still do individual trophies for that, and we've got the shield for the next 12, so positions 13 to 24. That may change in terms of how many people, because last year we had to knock it down slightly due to a few dropouts and one or two other things. But with so far this year, like for example, your GT event has got like 30 people already.
Yeah.
And other events are all filling up. Where there's a chance, scenery wise and the Scout Hut's capacity wise, we may up it to a few extra players.
I mean, you've definitely got the tables for it now. So,
but we'll see how we go towards the end of the year. We'll know a bit better towards the end. But that's the only thing that will probably change. Will potentially change is so it's going to be the top half and the bottom half of starting off with 24 players. It may expand to potentially 28, 30 players, depending on league participation and things like that.
And assuming that'll be the top half of the split, regardless of the bottom
regardless
half.
of the numbers,
And it'll be 6 games instead of 5 now, won't it?
So that's the other slight change. Well, that first bit wasn't a change. This is one of the changes. There was a lot of talk amongst people about wanting to do 7, 8, 10 games. But when I did the feedback poll, the majority was, I think there was a split vote by 1, or was it this and someone else? Generally, people wanted to keep it as the 5. Yeah. But we've changed it to 6 purely because we've got a 5-game event, which is Sam Huddy's event in March, which is a 350-point event. So to accommodate him not having to not count one of them as league count, it would just get very messy. We've upped it just by the 1 game to 6 games. All of our events are a minimum 3 games. Doesn't change the fact that you just attend 2 events.
You'd have to anyway. So
exactly. So that was the whole point of the 5 games was to make sure someone couldn't turn up, smash one event, get a good place in, and then go on and win the trophy by only attending one event. We wanted people to at least have attended 2 events.
Yeah.
And the points scored will be the same: 3 for a win, 1 for a draw, 0 for a loss. If you forfeit a game out of like a strop or something, then it's a 12-0 loss with a -1 league point. However, that's not stopping people. If you get to a point, we've all been there in a game where you've got 20 minutes left, nothing is going to change the score. If you agree to leave it there, that's a different story. That's fine.
We did it last year, didn't we?
If it gets to a point where you're in a game and there is nothing that can change the result, and you're both happy, then of course you can still agree.
It's a very different scenario. Saying, listen, you're going to win X amount to X amount. Should we just call it and go and have a cup of tea and a chat, as opposed to turn to flipping the table and complaining about you're never going to play the game again, because obviously they're very different ends of the spectrum.
And if you ever do need to agree, obviously just check with the COs and stuff. But I don't see a problem with that. But that is all of your games that count towards the league will be pointed in that way. But the individual events of allowing people to do their own scoring system. So if people want to do major and minor wins, that was one thing that was spoke about with some people who are hosting events.
Oh, okay.
So if you do an event, you get 7 points for a major win, 3 points for a minor, something like that. That goes and counts for that event with that many points. But then I'll still get the individual results, and it will count towards the 3 league points for a win. So it just gives people the flexibility for their events.
You just take their Excel spreadsheet of results, count up the VPs, count up the wins, and then do it the same as last year.
Rather than having some games are worth 3 league points and other games are worth 30, it would just be horrible. So
it keeps it all consistent, and it makes it easier for you.
And then it allows people to move like twinkle with their events a little bit if they wanted to, and do bits like that. To be honest,
just the league finale is green only.
Yes, that apart from in terms of the formats and the events, that's the only changes. The majority of the feedback was it went quite well, and to be fair, it did. It raised a bit of money for the club.
I think you smashed it, mate. To be honest, I don't think you give yourself enough credit.
But then towards the end of the year, and just by my own admission as well, I didn't get around to updating the spreadsheet as much. It did get a bit messy with the PayPal account with the different events. So now, at least with different people doing the events, I'm going to keep track of everyone who's paid for each event for them and update the spreadsheet more regularly, things like that. So I can spend a bit more time doing that rather than
because you're not having to run the event, get a rules back up.
And also, it'd be nice to go to a couple of league events and go and play. I'll still help out. I don't mind doing that at all. But then not have to worry about rushing to get everything done, which is quite nice sometimes.
Exactly. So
there was one thing you said, wasn't it? It was what did we change? You said it and I forgot.
The Green Allies.
Green Allies, yes. So for the finale, it will be the points haven't been completely decided yet. It's probably like 650 again, that kind of amount, and it's going to be Green Alliance only, or single army only, or Legendary Legion only.
Or Legendary Legion.
Yeah, just no other restrictions in terms of models and things like that. But it's green, single army.
I'm assuming the same models are banned from last year as well.
Do you know what? We all kind of just, no one took them, but they were. That's one thing I might add to the league description before the next event.
Have we got any banned models? Actually, thinking of it, is it just Goldberry and Bombadil?
I don't think they weren't in the league description. They may have been banned in the individual event packs.
Right.
So I may leave it that way. Let the people who run the event.
I mean, it'd be very difficult to ally them in anyway. So
exactly. So I'll leave it for people to ban whatever they want within.
We could just blanket and say whatever Games Workshop ban is the same for us. But
yeah, they're not banned at the moment, are they?
Are they not?
We'll check the GT thing later.
I genuinely don't know. I mean, I'm just assuming that they've always been banned from every event I've ever been to. So I just assume that they always are.
We'll check it out.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah. And then leading on to that, talking about individual events, we can mention the first event coming up this year is Jason's team event.
Which we are both attending.
Yes, it's 8 teams of 3. And there is pairings. You have a captain, and there's different. The event packs on the event page now. He's uploaded that, and the pairings are slightly different, as in for who plays who. But everyone will play 3 games, obviously, in the team, and it is 500 points.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. So it's 500 points, and the restrictions are you can't have the same army twice, isn't it, or characters?
Duplicates.
So it should be quite good. Bit of variety with that, and there is 1 team space available. I think
there's a couple of people looking for a player.
Yeah. So if you're interested, get on the page, Facebook page, get on the events tab, check it out. I'm really looking forward to it.
And Dimitri?
Yes, so there's 1 more for their team, and there's always a chance people are going to drop out because the payments will need to be in realistically by the end of this week.
Well, he said he wanted to order the prizes this week, so I'm guessing he'll need the money by Friday.
And so obviously the payments will need to be in, and unfortunately if they're not all in, then places may need to be released to other teams. So if you're interested, get your name down on the reserve list. It's at Epping. It's only £10, same as all the league events. And 50% of that's into prizes.
Yep.
25% is the hall hire, roughly what we pay, which is reasonable for the amount of people we have there. And 25% roughly goes back into the club again for the scenery and the tables and the mats and things like that.
This
So
very short part of the pod has gone on longer than we anticipated, but just to add to that, because me and Jack were discussing it the other day, if you're paying for multiple events at the same time, leave a note as to what the payment is for on PayPal, because then Jack can actually put it all, like he can say, right, that's from that event, that's from that event. So when I paid for the team event the other day, I literally just put team event in the notes.
That's all you need to put.
So Jack knows
so
that
easier.
It's my payment for the team event. It's very simple, but it just makes his life a lot easier when organising payments.
Yeah.
So Jason's event, and we're actually going to the meat and potatoes. Let me just double check what I specifically said on Facebook, because it was a couple of days ago. I had a very long shift yesterday, and my colleague who was supposed to come in and help me didn't turn up, so it was emotional.
Excellent.
We are discussing hobby goals and projects for 2020, and I'm guessing also maybe tournament ambitions or what you'd like to
that will kind of roll into it, really, isn't it? Yeah. There was one thing we were going to mention as well, just quickly, was the review was done for Rohan at War with yourself, CJ, and Sam. I finished that yesterday driving to work.
Did you enjoy it?
Yes. Yeah, it's very good. I did actually. I haven't actually read the Siege Rules, so it was quite interesting to listen to that as well. I just skimmed through them.
I haven't, and I also haven't actually listened to that bit yet. I keep meaning to do it. It's just I've been very busy.
Yeah. No, it's very good. So
it was in 3 parts. So we'll just quickly do another YouTubey thing. It was in 3 parts, and the views on each part are very different. It's like some of you only listened to 1, or some of you listened to 2 and then got bored. It was in 3 parts because it's like 2 hours or 3 hours long nearly. So if you're wondering why part 1 abruptly stops and then there is another video, just go and watch part 2 and 3. And again, as always, like and subscribe and share.
So we weren't going to go through all of the source book again, but I think we were just going to quickly say what our favourite releases were for that, and anything that is really.
Is that one of the questions, or did we just?
I think it might have been a question, but I think we mentioned it as well.
Oh, you're happy to do that, yeah. So for me, I hopped on the Dunland bandwagon, hopped on it, and then haven't done anything with it since. But I have a pack of Dunlendings, a pack of Wildmen. I have the new heroes, and I've got Thryden to build up and paint at some point this year. They have moved down the pecking order because of one of my hobby goals, but we'll discuss that in a moment. And I also really like the new Saruman model. Now, I already have him mounted, so it would literally be just because I want to buy the model. It's not as high up the list, but they are very, very nice models. So, yeah. What about you, mate?
I think it potentially is the scenery kit is brilliant. Obviously, we'll hopefully get to see that on the table. But in terms of models, the one that it's not actually, the model's not been released yet, but the profile for me is the Crabane. It's something slightly different, and I've got Isengard. You can throw that in an Isengard list instead of Warg Riders. Give you something a bit different to Warg Riders.
As me and CJ and Sam discussed for their points and what they offer your army list, I mean, the Stalk Unseen thing is not as good.
Situational.
But the fact that you have to hit them on a natural 6 and they have 4 wounds is pretty good. And
for recon, I think you briefly mentioned that as well.
Well, and they move 12, and then if you have to go on difficult terrain, they can still move 4, so it's still pretty good.
Yeah. And then that's probably my favourite profile in terms of a model that's been released. All the Dunlending stuff looks great. The Horsemen are great. I'm not even gonna look at them too much because I don't even want to get tempted to buy them, because going into what we talk about hobby goals later, obviously I don't want to start another army,
another project that
will just get half finished. So but no, we're going on to the hobby goals now, so should we roll into that straight away?
So regarding hobby wise, so I guess building and painting of armies, my goal this year initially is to paint up a good faction because I probably need one for a ringer army for the GT because it is good and evil. And B, I only played evil armies last year. And as I've discussed with several people, I think that good armies currently are a lot stronger in the meta than the evil armies. Obviously, if you're a better player, then you'll probably beat a worse player potentially with a less meta list. But I just feel like not having options for some of the big kitty heroes that seem to be doing really well at the moment is just hurting me in terms of winning games. So that's my hobby goal. It is Rivendell. I've currently got all the heroes on foot. I got a box of Rivendell Knights the other day from one of my Christmas vouchers. And I've got X amount of, I can't remember the exact number, but I've got a lot of swordsmen and bowmen, and I've got one pack of spearmen, so I need to get a few more spearmen. But I think it works out. I've got a 700 point list, so which has changed because I want to change one of the heroes. So I'll probably have a 750 point list and then like a 700 point list. So that's my aim. And luckily with elves, it's probably only about 30-ish models, which I painted the Corsairs in a week. And that was 26 models I painted, I believe. So it won't take me long. I just need to sit there and actually start
plowing through them.
And I'm horrendously bad at procrastinating. So that's one of my hobby project goals. Another one is to repaint my Gondor metal models because they are all still stripped. And this is a ongoing joke, I suppose, at this point. I didn't like the paint job I did, as it was when I first got back into the hobby. And I feel like, especially with contrast paints, which are a bit of a lifesaver for cloaks and things, I can definitely do a better job. So I think I've got 24 Osgiliath veterans, 6 Citadel Guard bowmen, maybe 12 Citadel Guard spearmen, 6 Fountain Court spearmen, and that might be it. But it's enough. All my heroes were fine, so I'm not really going to touch those. But yeah, some of the actual troops themselves need a little bit of work. So that's another hobby goal. And then James is currently painting up for me my Goblin King Chlorina Goblin. And I got off you the other day a couple of bits that I was missing because I just can't find them. So I've got 18 goblins to paint. I'm probably going to end up having a few more just because I'll have 60 painted then, but I'll need some for the scribe. So I'll probably see if I can get another like 18 from somewhere. I got that previous 18 off of eBay for £11, which was quite good because they were all new on Sprue as well. So I'm going to try and have a look for another 18. And then I'll have 2 Goblin Kings. Obviously, I can only use one, but I'll have 3 captains, no, 4 captains, a number of captains, Gollum and the scribe, and about 78 goblins. So that'll be an army that I want to use at some point. I think that's it really. There's a few models that I want to finish. I've got to finish some of my Corsairs, but I'm really trying not to. And then I've got to do a Dunland army. I mean, that might be a project for when they're not cool and popular, because if you've been listening to this for a long time, you know I don't like to play armies while they're cool and popular. So yeah, they'll probably get done in 2021, and I'll play them when no one else is playing them and try and make them somewhat good. Yeah. So that's for me from a hobby point of view. From a tournament point of view, again, obviously from our league position for the top event, and hopefully actually playing it this year, depending on if nothing happens in October, like it did last year. Because I feel like I could have maybe done all right. I saw people's lists. My list was pretty good. But yeah, so that's my aim for the local events. I'd like to attend a couple of GBHL events. I'll be going back to Strider Cup with Kieran and trying to defend our crown because we did win it last year. The review episode never came out, but spoilers. We did win it last year, me and Kieran. That was my first GBHL event win, so we'd like to go back and defend our title. Probably go to a Stockport event because I really like Element Games. I think it's a great venue for events, and the hotel is across the road, which is very convenient. And I really want to go to Stirling event in October, I think it is. So depending on when that is and when our league events are that time of year, it'll depend on that, and also getting there because it's a bit of a pain to get to from where we are in the country. So, but that's it really.
Quite a few events you're hoping to.
Well, all of our ones, probably, and then maybe 3 or 4 GBHL event ones, just because I want to go to the venues more than I'm not really bothered about doing well at them. Just I like to go to, I like to just see people that I don't see very often, and socialize a little bit. So
yeah,
that's me.
Sounds good.
What about you?
For mine, hobby goals is probably what my goals have been for the last year and a half, 2 years maybe, is just finish a couple of the armies I've got, but I'm going to focus on 2 to start with because I'll be taking them to the GT hopefully, is Rivendell and Mordor, because I've nearly had my 500 point list or 600 point list, whatever it was, done, got sidetracked and then didn't need it anyway.
Right.
So for Mordor, so I want to get that done. And then once I've got 700 points for the GT in March, is going to be my first aim for it. I'm going to flesh them out to 1,000 points, just so if I ever did want to or went to a 1,000 point event or just played a 1,000 point friendly game, I've got single armies up to 1,000 points.
Nice.
And then also, if I'm playing 600-700 events, it's got, with the extra models, I have a few different options.
Yeah, you've got a bit of variety.
So yeah, for my Rivendell, I've got quite a bit of that done. Just need a few more sword and spearmen. I've got the models, just need to paint them up and get some Rivendell Knights done. I've got 2 boxes. I've got one converted to a kind of Gilgalad-ish model.
Yep.
One painted, but I want to get a second one painted just to use in lists, and then get a few more of them painted up just for an option.
Yep.
And then with the Mordor, my Morannons are nearly there, most of them. Just got to finish them off.
Right.
Paint the Witch King on Felbeast, which won't take long. Then that's a bulk of a 700 point army, and then just flesh out a few heroes. And I've got a catapult, which I got off Sean a little while ago. It was quite a reasonable price, actually. I can't remember what it was. It's the metal one. I think it might be Finecast now.
Did you not get one in the starter box?
Not a catapult, no.
I thought you did. Why did I think you did? You get a troll in there, don't you?
Yes, you get the troll. So that's what another model I'll do. A troll, the hammer, will be like an option for my 1,000 points Mordor kind of thing, and then the catapult, and that's probably all I will need for a Mordor. I know there's millions of options, but I'm just going to go with that and then flesh it out with a few heroes for different options.
Did you get a Cardiff on mail order last year?
Yeah, I've got that. That's base coated black, so I use it at the moment in friendly games, but that needs to be painted. So the aim is to get that done, both of them done for March, which is it's a bit to do, but not unreasonable because
your elves are almost there, aren't they?
Yeah, to be fair, even the Mordor, it would just take, for what I've got at the moment, maybe a week of a few evenings to get 500-600 points done, and then get the rest done at some other point. So yeah, so hopefully going to start doing that, get a bit more time now, get a bit more organised in the new year again. Yeah, because things just got a bit hectic, and for no apparent reason, just as things do, a bit hectic towards the end of the year.
It always happens, doesn't it?
Exactly. And then once they're done, then by that point there'll probably be a new book out, and depending on what armies are in that, who knows. But I do want to do the Riders of Éomer, because I've got the Riders from the box set, and then I can get the Gandalf model. Is a great model, the new one.
Yeah, he is. I've got him as well.
It's a list that I was thinking about doing for an event anyway, regardless of the Legion, just as the scene where they all come in.
Well, I mean, it's a green ally, so you could.
Yeah, but I may just do it. May as well just do it with the Legion now anyway.
Makes sense. Gives you that the benefits.
Exactly, and I've got Éomer, I just need Gandalf, and I've got Riders of Rohan, so I won't need to buy too much for it. But that is my secondary hobby goal, if you like.
In my drawer that I don't open very often because hurts me to open it. I've actually got the new Theoden 12 Riders and that new Gandalf, and I'm probably never going to paint them, but I have them.
Yes.
It's one of those things where you see a good deal and you're like, oh yeah, go on, I'll have that.
Yeah, that's one thing. I'm going to stop looking at the trade page because as much money as you're like, well, I'm saving 20 quid here, but I'm not because it's just sitting in the drawer.
Yeah, because you're spending it and then not doing anything with
No.
it.
So,
Yeah.
and then tournament wise, hoping to attend as many of the league events as possible.
Mm.
I do want to do another. The only weekend event I've done, I think, is Ardacon once because weekends are usually a bit tough for me to do for a whole weekend.
Yeah.
Just, as with most people, just life really. So I'd like to do a weekend event. But maybe I know there's the London GT, so maybe that saves me having to fork out for accommodation. I wouldn't really be away. But,
Yeah, I mean, you just go there for the day, come home, go back the next day, come home.
yeah, or even one a weekend event somewhere else. It can be far, it can not be far, but that's something that will probably just have to be timed right with.
Work
I've got a free weekend and I'm able to go away for the weekend, kind of thing.
Yeah, you get your little
So see if it's
stamped. See if you're allowed to go.
So we'll see if that pops up in the right time. And yeah, I would like to do one weekend event this year. And we keep talking, me, you, James, Dan, about going, Clayton and everyone, going to Warhammer World, even just for a day.
We have to. It's so good.
I've never been, and I was looking at the GT, but obviously that's sold out, and we've got a better GT now anyway for us.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a potential, but not now. So yeah, we'll see. But that's my kind of, again, so that's my two goals, hobby wise, what I want to get done, and then what I'm potentially looking to get done after, and tournaments, what I want to get done, and what potentially, if opportunity arises, as a kind of secondary goal. So that's my two of both, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, very good, mate. That then leads us on to the community hobby goals and questions. Yeah. So Jason has put, I plan to actually complete an army and not just paint 5 models and get distracted. And he's received some banter for that, back and forth. One of them being, Jason, you will not succeed. Jason replied, my army is Sauron, checkmate. And then someone put, do you have Sauron painted? He went, not yet, but we've got 299 days to do it. So fair enough. I mean, he's not wrong. I've lost the questions. Back to the pin post. CJ has put as a question, if you could get one member of the hobby community on the podcast through bribery or blackmail, or just asking them, we'll put that out there. Who would it be? And Rob and Jay aren't allowed.
Has the most famous person on the podcast been on the podcast before? Friend of the channel?
He hasn't, actually.
So, yes, but that can be one of our goals, is to get the friend of the podcast.
I mean, he's been in every episode indirectly.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good one. I think outside of as much as I'd love to have James on the podcast as well, outside of our group, I'd like to get some of the big GBHL meta players. So maybe Will Champion, or Ed Ball, or Barney.
So potentially, if we do our GBHL event again this year, we could do a review potentially, and maybe get someone of the high placing players to come on.
Yeah, just because
an opportunity.
It'd be nice to sort of, I mean, not that no one in our community isn't good enough to compete up there. They are, definitely are. It'd just be nice to get someone who regularly.
Yeah, it's a different perspective on things as well.
Yeah, completely different. Like, they see things in the game that I don't. So it'd be nice just to, get their perspective. Mr. Tom Hawker has said, hobby goal number 1 is paint a whole new army. Solid. Hobby goal 2 is master that new army.
Makes sense. Again,
solid. Hobby goal 3 is do a half decent hobby vlog for extra channel content. Good man. So I guess my question is, which new army are people most wanting to see? Uruk Scouts, full Candish army, or all hero list book version of the Docs of Harland, Aragorn, Legolas, Gimli, Halbrand, the twins, and then Dunedain. Yes, shock horror. There are elves in my list. Yeah, he doesn't like elves.
I'm looking forward to seeing the Wolves of Isengard. I know we will see that without doubt. But with their new rule, I won't end up collecting it, so I won't even pretend I will. But they've got the rules about the ambush and the scouts. Some of it in certain scenarios would be horrible to play, but it'd be really interesting to see how it works and
I think
how strong it is, or how much, if it makes any difference at all.
who is it that played an all Warg Rider list? Is it Tim from America? I can't remember his surname. He comes over from America to attend a lot of our events, and he actually played all Warg Rider here, all Warg Rider list without obviously the bonuses that you get from running that particular legion. I think he did all right with it. I think he went positive in terms of like 4 and 3 or 5 and 2.
Yeah.
And as you say, Sharku gets a bit better. You get the Fury from the Orc Shaman on Warg. It does lack a big hero, which for me hurts most lists at the moment, because if you can't deal with their big heroes, you're probably not going to win.
It could be a great list for Sam's event, like a 350 point.
Yeah, I mean, you get a decent mounted hero. You can have a couple of captains. Warg Riders aren't exactly expensive.
Yeah.
You'd have to buy a lot of Warg Riders, I suppose.
A few wild Wargs as well.
A few Wild Wargs, yeah. It's definitely a cool list.
Yeah, that's something I'd look forward to playing against.
So Jason has then put number 2, actually settle on an army list earlier than the night before a tournament. I think we all don't do that, though, to be fair.
I think the only time you do is when
there's a deadline.
You have a deadline, but even then, you will only choose your list the day before the deadline, so it's effectively the same thing.
So Thomas Smith has his goal for the year is to complete his Grand Army of the South, which is a lovely army, I think. Harad, if people aren't accustomed to... it's actually a legion, isn't it? The Grand Army of the South? Yeah, it's a legion. And then his discussion point, players who win with pure armies are more skilled.
I suppose that probably used to be the case.
Controversially, yeah, exactly what you've just said. I think prior to the benefits of taking a green army, as they are now, or just a single faction that counts as being a green army, obviously. I mean, I guess if you look at some of the meta lists, they all do contain an ally, or for the most part. Just because Kurdan is so cheap for what he offers, and Alfred is so cheap for what he offers. I know that's a current thing that's happening on top tables.
Yeah. Well, there could even be an argument to say that players who win with red alliances are more skilled now because of the drawbacks.
Yeah.
I would say there probably is still occasions where that's true, but I think a good player will win with a half decent list regardless. A very good player, right? Anyway, but it was probably more so the case before the bonuses. I would guess.
Yeah,
anyway.
I think I agree. I mean, unless you're playing an awful unless you're playing like ruffians or I guess ruffians are pretty stinky. I think Easterlings are a little bit weak at the moment. So if you're playing those armies, then yeah, definitely. If you're winning more games than you're losing, then you are quite obviously a very good player.
But then in general, I would say potentially yes, but potentially more like. Well, how long have we had this now? A year and a half?
2 years? Well, what was it? October 2018.
So year and a half.
Yeah, just under, but yeah, like 14 months, 15 months.
Yeah, so potentially 2 years ago, but now
I mean, the meta is still not a set thing either. That's the great thing about the new edition. There isn't a sort of...
I must admit, I haven't looked at too many winning lists of other tournaments much.
I just mean it, even in our local meta, there isn't one list that's won every event it's played in.
No, it keeps changing with each event. And not just at each points level, just as people are taking different armies.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
So thank you, Tom, for that. It's a good discussion point. Kieran Street has put, what events are you most looking forward to in 2020? Your one, Kieran. I'm going to come back and win it with Kieran, funnily enough.
Mine would be the not GT.
Not GT. Yeah, I'm looking forward to. I'm not going to play in that unless I have to. I haven't got a place to play. I'm just going to TO.
It's a 4-game event, isn't it?
I think that's what I said. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Just because the normal GT has 4 games on the first day and 3 on the second, I believe.
Yes,
So,
yeah.
And his hobby goal at the moment, I'm really into Boo Hiss 40k. Fair enough. But so he's working on that. But 2020's goal is to finish 3 armies this year, at least one of which is SPG. It's a pretty good goal. 2 40k armies probably and an SPG army. So
yeah.
Sam Huddy has put goal number 1: get the Dundon army fully painted, including his Thryden redone. Hobby goal number 2: try to defend the best painted title with James Wilson at 7 stones.
Very
I love
good
that.
goal. Yeah.
Hobby goal number 3: try to progress with Warren Rohan and the Gondor at war campaigns. So Sam, I believe for his blog, I'll have to ask him to comment it down below, but he does blog posts for the Gondor at war campaigns. So I'm guessing he's going to do the Warren Rohan ones as well.
Yeah.
Which they're very good. I played in one last year. It was good fun.
So I would like to do a campaign, but I'd never kid myself that I play often enough or am disciplined enough just to play the campaign every time I played. I would like to, but I think what I may do is try and play a few more scenario games. I don't really play any scenario games. Maybe just pick my favourite 3 of the whole campaign, maybe, and do like a very quick campaign.
Or you just pick one from the start, one from the middle, and then the end one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
just something like that. Just to have a bit of variety. But I do enjoy playing points match games, so that usually takes priority when I do get some games in.
So this is actually a very good question. Sam's question. Since Rohan has had the majority of the legendary legions, what faction do you think should do with some of that sweet love?
Probably a bit biased, but I would like to see. Actually, I suppose it's not because I don't have this army. A Last Alliance Legendary Legion.
Yes, I think everyone wants to see that when it eventually happens, because I'm assuming it will. I think people are going to be like, "Yeah, it's all right. I'm not going to buy it though."
Because I think it's not a bad. Obviously, at a certain points level, you would need to be at a certain points.
I mean, arguably though, what would you give it? That's the only thing.
This is what I was about to say. They're pretty good already.
To give that army bonus, I mean, the Rivendell army bonus is a bit stinky.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's ever come up, but the Numenor one's really good.
Or maybe treating the heroes as banners, maybe something like that.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely something you could do, but it's then does it become a bit too good? And
potentially not, because you'd restrict it. You'd have no cav, so it's not going to win all scenarios. No magic
heroes, then you've still got cav of sorts.
Yeah, no magic.
Unless it's literally like the scene from Mount Doom where they're all in big lines and fighting on foot.
Or maybe they have to be on foot. Yeah, that could be a good way to give it some extra bonuses, but then take the mounts away. So that could well be like a bit like the Defenders of Rohan Legion, where they're on foot. That could be a way. That may be the route they go with it. I'd like to see that.
So for me, I think, as you all know, I'm a big Mordor player. And I think they're pretty good. They lack a few things that some of the good lists are just better at. But generally, they're a very good mixed bag of everything. You can make some pretty disgusting lists from Mordor. So not so much them, but there are some evil factions that I think are a bit lacking. I alluded to one earlier. I think Easterlings are a bit lacking. They just need something. They need
for me. This for someone who really likes Easterlings. I know they've got a few heroes, like good heroes. Maybe it's a bit for the whole look of the army as well. But for me, the army just feels a bit controversial here, a bit bland. That's just my very feeling of them. That's not necessarily their bad. Yeah.
They need. I'd love to see some Black Dragon models. like some actual Black Dragon models. I know people do some excellent paint jobs to differentiate, and I saw someone actually commented on the GBHL the other day about their Black Dragon pikemen have much longer pikes, and he has like different pike tips to, just because they're normally the last model in the pike block, which makes sense because they're Fight 4.
Yeah.
And obviously then they get a special pike because they're Black Dragon. Yeah, so I'd like to see maybe Easterlings. I think that Serpent Horde is very well rounded. I love the Corsairs, as some of you know. I'd like to see on that, because I don't really want to convert them. I'd like to see some. What are they called? Oh, it's too early. The Corsair Reavers. There we go. It came to me. I'd love to see some Reaver models. I know they'd probably end up being Forge World, but I'd buy them. Just because I don't really want to have to buy a box of Corsairs and cut them all up. And anyway, segueing. So actually needs some love. Probably. I don't know. Yeah, probably just. I don't really know. Easterlings, just because I don't think anyone plays them now. Not on purpose, anyway.
No, I haven't. I think I've only played against them.
Oh no, saying
a
that,
handful of
I'm
times.
sure one of the local guys does play Easterlings. I think he played them at a league event last year. Anyway, moving on. What does comments from Sam?
Just
CJ put
Sam.
Moria. Sam Hardy put no. Anyway, yeah, Sam and CJ bantering. Love that. Mr. Wilson has put his goals are try and get through the models in my painting queue, or at least make a dent. I think that's everyone's hobby goal all the time, but we still buy stuff. Try and play some games with armies I don't normally use / haven't used before. Again, that's something that I'd like to do this year.
Yeah.
Try to win an award at a GBHL event. It doesn't matter if it's a podium, best painted, best team, most sporting. Just try and win one. And that's a nice goal.
Yeah,
Sam Huddy's put wooden spoon won't count, so don't expect me to carry you to that in May. James Wilson, you already have won an award at a GBHL event. Too, in fact, you got your best painted, and you are the filer of the Warhammer World quizzes. Sam, and then James Wilson
wants one he hasn't already won.
James has replied to Sam and said, "As far as I'm concerned, it's still a prize." So, I guess he could win the wooden spoon. Segueing onto that, there's a lifetime awards section in the GBHL on the spreadsheet. I've actually now, for 80-point events, I've actually now got a third, a second, and a first, which I'm quite proud of.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I'm quite proud of that. So, Mr. Palmer, bigging myself up again. Sorry, guys. Mr. Palmer has put, I'd love to hear what different, unusual tournament formats you enjoy or think sound exciting, such as the team event on the 21st, doubles events, etc., etc. CJ's plugged his own event, which we'll discuss at a later date, but it does sound quite fun. Yeah. So
Sean does these 5 army books event, which is a slightly different format. He's actually put that on the group, and I looked at it yesterday evening, and I think all the spaces are filled already.
Yeah, it's a popular one. It's just a good, fun event. I think I'm playing on the Free People's books. I need to get my elves painted, but yeah, that sold. Well, I say sold out. I don't know if tickets are on sale yet, but that filled out extremely quickly. So
yeah,
I would say put your name on the reserve list, because last year's event had so many dropouts, myself included, for one reason or another. So if you are looking to attend that event, it's very, very fun. Just put yourself on the reserve list, and hopefully Sean will get to you.
Yeah.
So, what's he put? Oh, yeah. So, what unusual tournament formats? I think the team event for me is pretty unusual.
Yeah. And off the top of my head, I can't exactly remember the pairings, but there is about you nominate the team captain, and then another team chooses who to play the captain or something along those lines.
Yeah, I think it's a format used in Guild Ball, which I know Jason plays or played.
Oh, okay. So that makes a bit more sense. Yeah.
So it's like you have a team captain, and then they put a player on a table, and then the other team captain picks a player to play that player. I think it is.
I'm with you
I
now.
think it's something like that. So there's like a little bit of chess almost, as in when do you play your queen, whoever your queen is in your team.
Mm.
It's a very interesting format. I'm a massive fan of 350 point events. I think my first ever GBHO event was a 350 point event, and ever since then, I've just really loved the points level. It's very hard to build a well rounded list at that points, especially nowadays, because the prevalence of a big stonky hero is so important. But yeah, 350 for me, the team event. CJ's event is very quirky, and I like the sound of it. But we'll discuss that on a later pod. Sam's then asked, or sorry, his hobby goals. Attend more tournaments, especially ones outside of the southern region, and try to win a painting or ranking award. So a little bit of my goal mixed with Mr. Wilson's, which is a very good goal. Finish off his fiefdoms and Angmar armies. Both, I love the fiefdoms army. It's one that I'd like to add to my Gondor at some point, but at the moment it's just not going to happen. But they are lovely models, and Angmar are very, very good at the moment, I think. And 3, paint and base more models this year than I did last year. And if I end up with more painted models than unpainted models, then I'll be super chuffed. I think I actually broke my own model count last year. The previous record, I believe, was I think it was 40. No, I think it was 53 or 47. I can't remember. And I actually painted 60 models last year, so I was quite happy with that. Considering I don't really paint my own models, as some of you probably meme me for, I was quite happy with that. So Mr. Anton Cook has said, mine is to paint every model before I buy any more. It's never going to happen, mate. Everyone buys more. Sean's put, maybe play a game as well. And Anton's replied, if there's time.
Yeah.
He's a full-time commission painter, so it makes sense. Cameron Bell has put Hobby Goal 1, finished 24 more wargs.
Well, he may be the guy to play the Wolves of Isengard against.
Number 2 is finish his fiefdom's army. And number 3 is get a regular Battle Company's campaign going. Now, you Darksphere lads had...
We did, and it was
I'm not going to say regular.
We did. I think we did 2 sessions, so we got through the first scenario, and we tried to follow how it's set out to do. Then you do 2 match play games,
right?
And then I think we met up a couple of weeks later, done the second scenario, done 2 match play games, and it was good fun. I think if we went on, I think it may have become a steamroll type thing for
yeah, won't use
essentially. I think I got quite lucky with my advancement rolls on the elves, and I ended up with I think I had like a burly mounted elf or something like that. Maybe, I can't remember exactly, but there was a really good special rule. But then I think a couple of the others got some good special rules as well. Yeah. But again, that's something that I just think, because I don't play regularly enough, one, because of time off with work, and then just other things that I don't go to a weekly club. That doesn't help.
I think World Champion did this last year. I think it's a really interesting format. So it's a 2-day event. You spend the first day building up your battle company, and then the second day you take your battle company, you work out how many points it is, blah blah blah,
through the back of the book.
Yeah, and then you add in to the battle company the models to make it up to a certain points, and then play a tournament.
Yeah, because then if you've had bad luck with your battle company, you can still.
Yeah, but obviously your leader would be your battle company leader and stuff like that. So
yeah.
If he's got one leg and he's lost an arm, he's really going to struggle, bless him. But yeah, I think that'd be a really cool format.
The only thing with that is because most of our events are single day events. That just seems to work better for our community as a whole, I think. And myself is included in that. Other people, I think, would be able to, quite happy to do weekend events. I think you would have to do a 2-day event to do that format. It'd be too much to fit into one day.
You have to do it as a 2-day.
Yeah.
I think that would put some people off.
Well, that could even be something that could do if I maybe go to the Chelmsford Bunker, or even if we go to the Scout Hut, when you can do 1 week, couple of games of battle companies.
Yeah.
Next meeting week, whether that's Dark Sphere or
Yeah.
Chelmsford or Epping or wherever, then do the battle, big battle the next week.
Yeah.
That maybe could be something to do. That might be the best way, because it's a good book, but I bought it and I was like, yeah, we'll definitely do this. But it's just, for people who don't meet regularly, it's just hard to keep it flowing, and then people
Yeah,
lose their
you need a couple of people who live very near you, who
yeah.
you could meet up with like once a week or something.
Just smash it out in a month
Yeah.
or 2 months or something. But yeah, it's a really good book, and it's just a shame that realistically I'm not really going to get through a whole campaign of it.
Campaign. Yeah, unless you like
I'd
book
be
a week
interested
off
to
or
know if
something.
people have got through that whole campaign to the last scenario, because if anyone has who's listening, drop a comment in the video or on the Facebook page. Let us know. Just be keen to get your kind of
I imagine
story, if you like,
how
on
many
it.
scenarios are there? Quite a few.
Hang on, I think the book might be. Oh no, I've moved it to the other room now. It's probably like, I want to say it's like 6 to 8, but then you do one scenario and you're meant to play, I think 2 to 3 in between. So you'd be looking.
You potentially could have some pretty stonking battle companies by the end of it.
Yeah, definitely. There's the scenarios. I think the end ones are quite hard as well. Like, you've also got a cave drake and stuff in some of them.
Oh, jeez. Camera's discussion point is, in the upcoming Battle of the Five Army books, who's going to come out victorious? As I believe there's been a different winner each year.
I'm going to go, because of all the legions that have come out, Kingdoms of Men. Because
the issue with Kingdoms of Men is, though, when they play Mordor, because they will, they're going to have to play Gothmog's Legion. Someone will have to take that Legion.
Just make sure it's a Legion with Gandalf in it.
I mean, the thing is, that game then comes down to, it doesn't really, because you can just sit and shoot, but if you don't get priority and you get charged by that Gothmog's list, and then he calls that Tub of the Orc, you're pretty much going to lose like every model in your army in one turn. It'd be a very interesting matchup. I think, I guess the problem is you can only have one of each Legion, because Sean won't let people duplicate. So if someone takes Theoden for that Riders list, it does limit anyone else who wants to play Rohan to a certain extent. I guess someone could use Helm Hammerhand.
Oh yeah, you use the Hammerhand Legion. You'd use Riders of Theoden, potentially the Eomer's Riders, and then a couple of Gondor.
I mean, you've still got Numenor. You've still got
Fiefdoms.
What else? Yeah, Fiefdoms. So what else was in the old Kingdoms of Men book? Yeah, I think there's some. I think Rohan will be the main. I would have thought. Arnor, yeah. Arnor at 555 points, though,
that's probably their limit. Upper limit, I would say.
It's like what Arthur doing Malbeth and captains. It probably wouldn't be very good. That's no disrespect to Arnor. They really suck.
They're a lower points army, aren't they?
They're probably really good at like 350, where you get Malbeth and Arthur doing, and obviously you get the Rangers. Yeah, it'd be interesting.
But yeah, I would say, on a very quick first think, Kingdoms of Men.
Yeah, I don't disagree, but to keep it different, I think Three Peoples could do well, depending on what everyone brings. It's always dependent on the lists as well, but I know that the Angmar and Moria list has some very good players in it, and B, two of the very good players have used the lists a lot.
Yes.
So my money's probably on that, depending on matchups, basically. Because I think that both of assuming CJ uses Moria and Kieran uses Angmar, which I'm pretty sure they both will, they both have enough stuff to deal with pretty much every list, even at 555 points.
Let's see what list kind of
and
come out
they
of it.
people won't necessarily have a big killy hero to deal with all of their shenanigans that their list contain. So yeah,
Potentially.
just off of who's in what team basically at the moment, I'd have to go with. Oh, actually, who hasn't won it? I'm going to go with Mordor. They've never won it. I'm going to go with them.
So then looking through the comments, so Cameron has said potentially men. Evil have got a few. He mentions Gothmog's Legion. Sam, Gothmog's Legion be horrific. And just a bit of backwards and forwards.
I mean, it could be horrific, but you could also get charged in one turn, lose your whole army, and that's it, gone.
We'll wait and see how it pans out.
The great thing about the event is, though, that it's a team event. So, one army might get battered by the riders list, but if your other two armies beat the other two Kingdoms of Men list or Free People's lists or whatever, it keeps it really close. I don't think there's ever been a. I think the Fallen Realms smashed it one year. But yeah, I don't think there's been too many years where it's been an absolute, pasting for anyone. So
cool.
So yeah, I think that's it.
No, there's one more.
Oh, is there?
CJ, in honor of Samwise, what is the largest potato that either of you can imagine?
Don't understand the reference. This is obviously something from a group chat that I'm in that I've missed. Largest.
The Tower of Orthanc replaced by a giant potato.
Potato. The largest potato in the world. I'm going to Google it. Holy shit. That can't be true.
So yeah, if anyone else is interested, you can Google it at the same time as us.
It's a fake potato. Oh, I was going to say, there's no way it could be £12,000 and 12 feet wide. According to the Guinness Book of World Records, the largest potato grown was £7 1 ounce. So that is the size of a child.
No, hang on. I've got one here. An amateur gardener has grown the world's biggest potato. Yeah. It's a whopping £8 and 4 ounces.
I might be the heaviest, but is it the largest?
It's true. We need some more specifics.
Well, you did say you can imagine. I don't think we're supposed to actually look this up.
No, we just needed inspiration.
I think the size of someone's head would be pretty fucking wild. I swore it's a massive swear there, but yeah. Yeah, imagine that. Someone's like, "Oh, what are you having for dinner?" I've got this massive jacket potato. It probably need to go in the oven for about 4 hours. But yeah.
So on that topical.
Again, we will literally answer anything you ask us within reason. So there you go. Go on, mate. You can
yes, that's the question. That's basically the question's done. If anyone's got any input on any of the topics or questions, leave a comment in the video or a comment on the Facebook group. Any questions for us, you can put in the comments for the Facebook video, and we will check them and the thread for the next episode, which potentially, should we say, realistically, it'd probably be after the team event. So if we say,
we could do a review, couldn't we? Could do a review. Maybe get Jason on in
weeks' time, maybe.
Yeah, because the team event's in 2 weeks on Saturday.
Or we could potentially, depending on what Jason's doing with lists and things, could do a preview. Lists, preview, things like that. But we'll have a chat with Jason.
The issue with previews is we never get them up too long before the event.
Well, we'll see. That's a maybe, but at the very least,
we'll aim for a review. If we can get a preview up in a timely fashion, then potentially we get both. I also know that CJ is hopefully going to upload a law. I guess it was an interview that he did with James Wilson, who is, he won't mind me saying this, is a massive Tolkien nerd. And apparently it's a really good episode. And I know that he's been editing it, so I'm hoping that will go up soon. I don't know when. If it goes up before we do a review of the event, then perfect. Because it'll be more content for you guys, and then hopefully myself and Jack and maybe Jason and maybe the winning team or someone from the winning team can come on and do a review of the team event. And then I think the next league event is actually my one in March. So there you go. So as I say, guys, comment, like, share, and subscribe. Thank you very much for listening. As Jack said earlier, Happy New Year, and bye.
Bye.